Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women Making an Impact Live. I am so excited to share today's conversation with you. But before I do that, I want to share with you what the goal is of this series, right? What is the goal of Women Making an Impact? That is to provide you the tools, the resources, the strategies that you need to build your confidence, to amplify your voice, to know your worth, and to dress like the leader that you're becoming. If you're watching us live, let us know in the comments. If you're watching the replay, let us know that you're watching. I'll be taking your questions along the way as well, so be sure to drop those in the comments. I'm Solita Roberts, founder and image coach here at Style to Impact, and my guest today is Keasha Lee Ince. Keasha is the CEO of Striking Statements. Hi, Keasha.
Hello, Salita.
Hi. So we were having this interesting conversation backstage about your last name that I think that it makes for the whole conversation that we're having today being authentic and showing up as yourself and connecting who you are with your audience and letting them know a little bit about you. Can you tell me a little bit about you and also the story behind your last name? Because as I said, Google Translate did not help me in getting the pronunciation right. And I'm sure that a lot of persons watching right now is trying to figure out, your last name and
What's
the
the last?
origin of who you are. So can you share a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. The names, our names, it's so important, right? What's in the name? It's who we are. It's what we stand for. So Keasha, my name is Keasha Lee Ince. The Ince is pronounced J,
Yeah.
Ince. So that comes from my former husband, who is from Turkey, and we met in DC. So just a little bit of history. I was born and raised in Virginia and went to college at George Mason University, graduated with a degree in communication. That's in Northern Virginia. Northern Virginia is like the suburbs of Washington, D.C. You can live
Oh, okay.
there and commute to D.C., so there's parts of Maryland, Northern Virginia that are a part of, DC. We call it the DC metro area to make it easy for others who aren't familiar with how it
Okay.
works. So, yeah, he was living in Maryland and loved it there and actually came to study linguistics there in Maryland. So from Turkey.
Nice.
And
Nice.
anyway, long story short, that's his name. And because it's October, the memories in Facebook, you know how Facebook shares the memories,
Yes.
photos from and videos from my visit to Istanbul popped up because I visited in 2018 in October, and
Oh,
it was
wow.
beautiful. Istanbul is a beautiful city. I love it.
Yeah, I've heard that, and from the photos that I've seen, that it's really beautiful. I had a friend of mine from Antigua that actually went there. She was on this travel tour, like every month she was going to a different place, and Istanbul is one of those places that she went to. And I saw the photos and I'm like, oh my gosh, one day, one day I will travel there. But thank you very much for sharing that, Keisha. I appreciate that.
You're
Now,
welcome.
before we get into today's conversation, I want to talk a little bit about your conversation that you had with Ashley Graham on her show that's called Espresso Shot. I think that
Mhm.
that conversation was so striking. It's actually the conversation that drew my attention to you to say, like, reach out to you to ask you to be a guest on today's show, because
Yeah.
I think it's also in alignment with what we're talking about today, right?
Hmm.
I wanna just share a quote from that post that I saw on Ashley's LinkedIn page, that she said, where you said, I bring and use my conscious voice in the work that I do by really living by what I teach and share. And then you go on to say that you have to have clarity, conviction in who you are and where you're going. And it's important to embody that truth and how you show up in all interactions. Can we just take a moment to unpack that? Because as I said, it does speak to the conversation that we're having today about really embodying your authentic self, not only in your brand, but
Mhm.
in your life, your everyday life, and who you are as a person.
Mhm. Yeah, so Striking Statements is the name of my business. And what I do through my work is I provide copywriting and brand messaging, not just the tangibles, but also mindset and the coaching. I call it messaging mentorship.
Yeah,
So I do both for my clients because when it comes to stepping out there in a more authentic and bold voice to ensure that your messaging is really a true reflection of who
yeah,
you are, who you've become, and speaks to who you really want to work with because all of that continues to evolve. So
yeah,
that's what I help my clients with their brand messaging. And when I say that um, I I live what I teach. It's so true. I've done so much work and continue to do the work of um, understanding. Why do I want what I want?
yeah,
What do I stand for? What's important to me? And what do I want to be remembered for?
yeah,
And when you make a practice of honoring those things and they might shift a little bit, but making sure like you're looking at that and looking not only at what you may write down or say, but ensuring that the way you uphold your boundaries and set your boundaries
yeah,
and show up and treat people, the level of integrity, self integrity that you have, the level of self trust really will impact how you show up in your life, which includes your business, which includes
yeah,
your role as a family
absolutely.
member or a sister or friend. It impacts everything. And as we look at what do we want, the vision for our life, because our businesses are, yes, they are our businesses. However, we use it as a vehicle to enact change, to make a difference as we continue to grow and make more money, then that gives us more flexibility and that the options become more there for us to truly, hey, where do I want to funnel my energy? What cause
Yeah,
is important? It's about, for me, it's about legacy. And I work with people who have that in their mind. And so when you're thinking about striking statements and embodying that version, that energy of who you're becoming, yeah, you are making choices based on not where you are now. Did a great job to get to where you are now, but it's
yeah.
about also who do I need to be to get to where I want to go. So
Yeah, and that's interesting. I like what you said there. Like, who do you want to be? Like,
mhm,
who do you want to be? And this is not about creating a false sense of, a false persona, but deep down within us,
yeah,
there is a part of us that we want to be. Maybe we want to be bold and flamboyant and speak our truth, raise our voices, but we allow society to control a lot of who we are as individuals, right? So we're holding back and we're hiding from ourselves, and as a result we're depriving those persons around us who wants to see us in our true and authentic self from really getting to know us, right? So I
yeah.
think it's like one of the things when I look at it, basic from what your standpoint and what I do as well as an image coach, is that to be authentic in your brand has to start with you understanding what your story is and what is it you want to share with your audience. Would you say that's basically what you're thinking as well?
Absolutely. Part of the work that I do is help to shine light on the parts of my clients' stories, their experience that has led them to the point to where they are.
Yeah,
We are passionate. We are both, all of us are in this space and this moment in time in our lives based on certain circumstances and experiences that we've been through on our journey. That's all shaped us.
yeah,
But when you're so close to certain things, it's hard to see it. So when people are like, "Oh yeah, I did accomplish that," or "Yeah, I got through that," and I'm like, "No, no, that's not like that's actually remarkable. Like that if we can capture that and infuse that into your story and blend that into messaging, that's going to be life-changing for somebody because they see that this is something that you've accomplished or been through. And so that's a part of the gift. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. I bet it's interesting that how we kind of shun away from who we are, and the things that we would have accomplished, just because we don't want to make anyone else uncomfortable, right? So I like when I'm working with my clients, one of the things that we talk about, and I always talk about creating your style avatar. That's what I call it. When we're thinking about whenever we're thinking about our brand and who we want to serve, we think of creating the client avatar, what she looks like, where does she live, but we never think about creating an avatar for ourselves, right? And I like to do that work with my clients. Like, let's create your avatar. And these are things that you're holding deep down inside because you're afraid to bring out. Like, what are some things that you like? What are some things that you want to do? What do you want to wear? What's your message? What's your story? What is it you want to share? Had there not be any of these limitations as to what society tell you that you should or shouldn't do, like what would that look like? What would your avatar look like if you had to build that? I'm building that from scratch. So I am so happy that you said that, because that is the gist of it, right? That is the gist of you showing up as your authentic self in your brand, in your work, in your message, in your story. It's about embracing who you are as an individual. Now, in your guest form, you said that our life is our message.
Yes.
Can you expand on that a little bit more? Like, what does that mean?
Excuse me. Well, it means that we make statements. We tell a story. And this is interesting because people will create stories about us based on what they see,
Yeah.
not off of 1% of what they know, right?
Yeah.
They will create this whole narrative around who they think we are. And
Yeah.
it might be something that they like, and it may be something that they don't, right? So, and that has nothing to do with us. What does have to do with us is it goes back to that level of integrity and of knowing who you are, or really being intentional about understanding more about who you are. And as
Yeah.
I mentioned in our conversation backstage, it's about not just like knowing yourself, but accepting yourself, because we can't accept others if we can't accept all of who we are. It's really going to be hard. It always starts with us. So,
I don't want to cut you, but you are just like, I want to do like, that where you're going,
oh
like,
yeah,
yes, because
yes.
everything is so in alignment with what the clients that we serve and what we're talking about, right? It's
Mhm.
accepting, it's self
Yeah,
acceptance. So go
yeah,
ahead. I
yeah.
digress.
And it is a journey. It is a journey. And so when I, like you said from the beginning, like when I teach what I live what I teach. So there's not anything that I would recommend to somebody if I haven't done a form of
Yeah.
it myself. It's a continuum. Like we continue to do the work of taking back layers, of stepping out more boldly, of sharing how we really feel, using our voice. And we continue to get better and better and better at that through practice. And so
Absolutely.
your life is your message. It truly is. It's a culmination of all of the things, the quirks, the fun parts, the highs, the lows, the trials, the lessons, the wisdom, the beauty. It's all wrapped in that. And if we can just tap into understanding and knowing and enjoying our lives and the process of life and trusting it, then that's really all that we can
It's
ask for.
yeah. You get to you get to live your truth, right? And really show up as yourself. Like that person that you're hiding and holding back from. No, we're talking about showing up as your authentic self, embodying exactly who you are in your brand. And as it stands right now, a lot of us are building brands online, right?
Mhm.
We're shifting. There's this, because of COVID, obviously, there's this big shift of being online. And for a lot of, especially women, it's like we're trying to figure out which parts of our story should we share. How do you, because it's like, should I share everything? Should I, talk about the struggles that I'm going through, because social media as it is, we get snippets of people's lives, right? We get snippet of what they want us to know. And generally, the snippets that they're showing, it's the good things, right? No one talks about when you're crying in your on your bathroom floor for hours because building a business is frustrating, or you're trying to get a job and you're sending out resumes and you keep getting the no's, and it's, the process in itself is so exhausting. Like, no one talks about that, when you may feel as though this is something I want to talk about, this is something I want to share, but you know
Is it appropriate? Are people going to still trust my authority? Yeah. Is it too much? Is it?
Exactly. So, and for me to be authentic means that I have to like, I want to share as
Yeah.
much of my wins, my losses with my audience, right? Because it's how you get to connect with me as a person. Like, no one is buying your brand, no one is buying striking statements or style to impact. They're buying who we are as leaders, right? They're buying who we are in terms of our message and how we're connecting. So
Mhm.
how can women, because women is ideally my audience, right? And these are the, I find, like, I want to talk to the women, because we always put ourselves in this box of saying, oh, but people may do this, or, I don't have this qualifications, or I don't have that, or my story may not be interested enough. So I want to speak to the women here. It's like, how can we be more intentional and deliberate with the narratives and the messages and everything that we're creating on social media to share in our brand and to be authentic?
Yeah, I love the word intentional. I love it because that's really being deliberate and intentional is so where it's at.
Yeah.
So my answer, and I love that we're talking about authenticity, because authenticity is on the other side of vulnerability. They're one side of the same coin, right? And
Yeah.
so that's what's really scary for people. And what I share is the concept of empowered vulnerability. So really, I mean, some of the things that come up, the resistance that comes up, and just, like the hesitance is that, yeah, what I spoke about before, like you're looking around online at what Susie and Jane and Kelly are doing, and they seem to have it all together. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, and they're showing up happy and highly energetic and everything's beautiful. Oh shit. I'm sorry, but no,
Yeah, that's
what?
that's 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 the correct sentiment.
Right? Like that's not me. What do I do? And it's like taking a deep breath. We have so much. Everyone has so much as part of your life. Like everyday things can be used as inspiration for content. But going to empowered vulnerability, that is sharing something that you've been through. Perhaps you are still on the other side, like still working on it. Let's take depression, for example. Let's say
Yeah.
you've struggled with depression in your life, like debilitating at one point, and you discovered, well, I mean, you had to look within, right? Something, there was a breakthrough somewhere, and you use maybe therapy, maybe some healing modalities, a combination of medication. Perhaps that was your journey,
Yeah.
and you discovered a way to really for sustaining like a higher state of like, whew, being more a sense of joy. Now, it's not that the depression has like completely gone away. It's just that when you do feel it, you're able to work with it and through it, right? So the point of your sharing the story is to inspire people to know, one, you understand what that feels like. Two, you found a way to help yourself, and possibly by sharing it, it could help somebody else. And three, you're
Absolutely.
still human. You are a leader, but you're freaking human for goodness sake. And this will continue to be a part of your life. It's not all of who you are, but again, you know how to navigate it now. Like
Yeah.
you're better equipped to handle the lows of life that may happen. Okay, so that could be that's the whole shebang of that experience. How do you share that? Right, in a way that's like empowered. The empowerment comes from, sharing the snippets of it, like in breaking down, again, showing the before, the process of getting through, and the after. And that could be a blog, that could be a video, whatever you choose. But what I encourage people to do is to ensure when you're being vulnerable and you're being authentic, don't share something that you're in the like right in the heart in, like right in the middle of right now, because you don't even have that perspective. You haven't even given yourself enough space to look at the situation and see, okay, this is why it happened that way, or maybe I don't understand why it happened, but this is what I learned from it, kind of thing. So don't share something that you're in the midst of if it's truly, if it's really painful. The second suggestion for empowered vulnerability is to believe and trust that you're going to help somebody with this story, that there's going to be at
Absolutely.
least one person, most definitely, who's going to be inspired. Because one, you're going to get like, thank you for having the courage to share your heart and something that is probably not very easy to share. So there's that, you're showing that humanness of you. And people, we talk about COVID, we talk about everybody being online and how things have shifted so much. And I call it the connection economy that we're in through technology. We're connecting with people. I don't even know where you live, Salita. Well, I didn't even ask you.
I'm in Atlanta.
You're in Atlanta. Okay, I'm in San Diego. Okay. So it's connecting, being able to connect with so many people in different parts of the world. It's a beautiful thing. And it's also an opportunity to kind of shy away because it can feel overwhelming. And what I say is, just to be sure that you have it's okay that if the intention is to share in a way to help and to show a way through, then awesome. And have grace for yourself as well. So those are my tips. Don't be too close to it. Like allow enough space for grace and to be able to get it out without breaking down. And to ensure that it's something, just know that you're going to help somebody. So trust that. And then that intention piece, the intention, back it, make sure it's backed by love and that you're doing it to help and to inspire. That's it.
I love that. I love that. Before I go on, I want to remind the audience that to leave your questions in the comments. Say hi, give us some feedback. If you're watching live or the replay, just kind of put your questions down there. And also let us know, like, what is the most challenging part for you when it comes to showing up in your brand? Is it finding your voice? Is it your style? Is it, sharing your story and your message? Like, what is the most challenging part for you? And then once you put those in there, we'll get back into the comments and answer those questions, because I think this is an interesting conversation to have when it comes to embodying and showing up as your most authentic self. Because I love what you said, Keasha. I mean, everything that you said before is like so impactful and so powerful. Just talking about being powerful in sharing our stories and remembering that the parts that we share. I heard this. I think it was on a podcast or on a conference or something. You have to heal before you try to share whatever you're going through. And I think that's such a powerful statement, because if you're trying to be vulnerable while you're going through the actual struggle or challenge, and you're trying to find your way through it as well, it can, you lose some of that, your authentic voice in the process, right? So it's healing, and then of course sharing the steps so that you can help someone, right? Because I think that's such an important part of vulnerability and being authentic in your brand and showing up as yourself, right? Because like even when I talk about working on my clients and finding their personal style, that style that's within them, that they always want to wear, things that they always want to wear and how they want to show up. It's like you have to put on your blinders to all the obstacles and things that will pop up, people's opinion, and looking at, if you do this, how would it come across and all of that, but truly being authentic in yourself and deciding for yourself what that means, right? Because I think as far as authenticity goes, and we it kind of sounds like a buzzword, like it's,
Mhm.
authentic voice, authentic brand, and it seemed like a buzzword, but
Yeah.
authentic for me is like the cornerstone of the work that I do with my clients, right? I like to say that I'm the guide, I'm not their master. I don't dictate what they wear and how they should show up, right? It's all about them deciding for themselves what it is, which is, kind of interesting that I did a conversation with a client last week, I think it was, on how she built her confidence through the clothes that she's that she's wearing. And someone commented that, oh, I like how you didn't just tell her what to wear, but you helped her to discover within her what is it she wants to wear, right? And I think that so many times we try to show up as ourselves, but we're allowing other obstacles or things to get to kind of like stop us, and we're looking to others to like tell us exactly what to do when it's within us, right? Because I do believe that women, for each of us, we are the driving force behind how we shop, right? And
Mhm.
for me, as an image coach, I'm like the passenger, passenger sitting in that seat, trying to keep you on track, trying to help you discover what your style is based on who you are, your goals, and what you stand for.
Mhm.
What would you say is the best way to connect to our deeper selves and allow that to come through our brands? Because I think that we can't tell anyone how to be authentic. It's something that they
Right.
have to discover for themselves, right? Because for me, authenticity is about being human and allowing others to express who they are. Like,
Mhm.
what would you say is the best way for us to connect to that deeper side of who we are in our brand?
Wow, that's a biggie there, Celine. But I will start with, it is a practice. Nothing is a one and done. When it comes to copywriting and messaging, we have a couple of versions, right? Because it's a dance, and we're like, oh, that's a good, not so much. Let's finesse it, and then we do another round. That's how life is. That's how discovering and tapping into your deepest authentic self, that's what it's about. That's what yoga is about. It's a practice.
Yes.
So I wanted to start there in case anyone's like, okay, let me write this down and I'll do it once and then you won't
Yeah.
do.
Yes.
Right? So, but really, I have what's called a I Stand manifesto. It is part of I have a EYM, Embody Your Message Masterclass, on demand. It's like a pre-recorded 3 steps for creating messaging that gets you noticed, remembered, and paid. And so it starts with the what do you really stand for? Now we can say, oh, I believe in this and I stand for that, and that's great. But writing it down, like
Yeah.
actually writing down what these things are, what's important to you. I stand for, beauty. I stand for compassion. I stand for whatever it might be, creative self expression. And if you write it down and you look at it daily, then it helps to guide you. You use the word guide. It helps you to guide your decisions, choices, whether in should I take on that client? How does it feel? Another
Yeah.
thing about healing, and it's very so true about authenticity and vulnerability. You do have to have a level of healing. I mean, come on, before you can impart that lesson or wisdom onto somebody else. That's
Absolutely.
why I said you can't be in the midst of this and share and everything. Um, you can't heal. This is what I want to share. You can't heal what you won't feel. So, right? So it's about there are parts that we have in ourselves, experiences and things in ourselves that we're not proud of. We kind of like, I don't want to
Yeah.
share that. I don't, you got to work with that, because that part of you um, is asking for some light,
Yeah.
some attention, some love. And so to be able to tap into the deepest, to be authentic and to show up and to really utilize that, like, hey, yeah, my life is my message. And this is what I wanted to say. Not only here while I'm here on earth, but for years after I'm gone. this is my life. It's my message, and it's about just doing the work of healing, of acceptance, and once you get to certain levels of that, you'll feel it, right? And whatever it might lead you to, maybe it's journaling, maybe it's therapy, maybe it's yoga practice, maybe it's like fasting and just being in a community of people who are like-minded and support you. Maybe it's church. Your medicine is yours. I don't
Yeah.
know what that is, right? But it's up to you to find it. Your life will always guide you when you make the decision of what you want and keep
Love it, love it, love it. Like I just love everything that you just said there, right? Because we're always growing and evolving, right? And it's about uncovering who we are as we grow and putting that in alignment, right? Aligning, the growth with the struggles and how we want to show up and really being authentic.
yeah,
I like to say, like, to be authentic is an inside job. Like
yeah,
everything that's happening inside, once you
yeah,
start expressing that on the outside, that's who you are. It's like every aspect of you, right? When you're inside and your outside is in alignment. So I want to thank you very much for that, Keasha. I appreciate you sharing that. Now, before we wrap this conversation, how can viewers get in
yeah.
touch with you? I am going to drop your information in the chat, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of share how viewers can get in contact with you.
Okay. Thank you. Yes. Well, I am here on LinkedIn, Keasha Lee Ince, but I love, you can also find me at strikingstatements.com. I mentioned my Embody Your Message Masterclass. It's a pre recorded video series. It's a great way, it's free. It's a great way to just like get a piece, get some knowledge as to how I work in my philosophy around messaging. Um, Instagram at Striking Statements. I love to show up there so we can become friends and get to know each other on that platform. I'd love to just, get to know you all and to engage. And those are the ways that you can get to know me.
Fantastic. Now, what's one piece of advice that you want to leave with the viewers today? I know we have some persons connecting with us live. We're going to
Okay.
have persons watching the replay. What's that one thing that you want to leave today?
Yeah. No one can live your life for you. No one can show up the way that you do. You are truly a miracle. And the more you're willing to see it as such, and to whatever your passion is, whatever your career choice might be, whatever that creative project might be that's been on your heart that you feel like, I don't know, if it won't leave you alone, that desire, that call, then it's worth looking at. So make a statement. We always make them anyway. Just make sure yours are intentional and striking.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Intentional striking and make an impact with it, right?
Yes,
It's been such an honor having you share this space with me today, Keasha. I
likewise.
absolutely appreciate you coming and sharing your authentic self with everyone, right? Watching live or watching the replay. So I wanted to say to those of you who are watching live or watching the replay, if you're wondering how can you wear clothes that's more authentic to you, how can you show up in your brand a little bit more true to who you are. Of course you want to look at the statements that you make. Contact Keasha, she can help you with that. But when it comes to wearing the clothes now that really reflects who you are, then get on my calendar, right? I'll go ahead and I'll drop the link in the comments so that you can go ahead and schedule some time with me. I look forward to having many more of these conversations with where I can share information that really helps you to move you forward in your life, right? So thank you very much for joining. If you're watching live, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. If you're watching the replay, thank you. Let us know. Still drop your questions if you have them in the comments. And join me here every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern for another insightful conversation in this series of women making an impact. Until next time, have a great week, everyone. We'll talk soon. Bye.